The IRS wanted everybody's money, but not anymore. If y'all know anything about 1099s, y'all concerned about anything with 1099s, if you are someone who drive Lyft, Uber, if you sell things on Etsy, eBay, or if you have a business and you pay contractors, go ahead and put something in the chat letting me know, say 1099, 1099. Put it in the chat for me. Let's say 1099. Because I'm here to talk to you all today because I'm about to give y'all some real good news. Now, I know a lot of y'all are like, oh my God, I'm so sick of what's going on. Trump this, Trump that. You know, he's doing a whole lot. He's doing the most. He's not looking out. He's not helping. But remember, I was telling y'all a long time ago, a few years ago, back when he was in office before, back in 2017, when he changed those tax laws, I let y'all know then. I said taxes is not for employees anymore. Taxes is for entrepreneurs. When he came in office before, he was like, I could care less about the person working on the assembly line. I'm more concerned about the person who's owning that assembly line. So go figure. He letting you know. He was like, why you can't just go ahead and make that money? Make that switch. Have a bigger mindset when it comes to things, you know. So he has been flipping the game, flipping. And he's really done his thing this time. So for y'all who are, I'm going to say, for the people who are like with Etsy, Venmo, get payments on there, we do Airbnb, Uber, any of those type of things. This year, 2025, this year is a big one happening for you. Why? Because you normally would get a 1099K if you are one of those type of people who would sell like on Venmo, if you sell on Etsy, if you are like selling on eBay, if you have the Airbnb, if you have like PayPal, all those type of things, you normally, again, even if you did like Uber and Lyft, you would get a 1099K. So if you're one of those type of people, guess what? This year, because of Trump's big, beautiful bill, you may not get a 1099K this year. You heard me right. You may not get a 1099K. And the reason why is because starting in 2025, what he signed in that big, beautiful bill is that if you did not make $20,000 or have 200 or more transactions, then you're not going to get a 1099K. Why? Because he said it's saving the big people the time and money of having to go through processing those 1099Ks. So guess what? A lot of you may not have one this year. Right? Now, if you are a contractor, if you are a business owner, if you are someone who has like a side hustle, or even if you be out there gambling and you get in some prizes, or you're doing some freelance work and stuff like that, you normally would get a 1099. Before it used to be 1099 MISC, which is 1099 miscellaneous, but they switched it and made it a 1099 NEC. So for those, you will get them this year if you made $600, because the threshold was $600. So if you make $600 or more, you would get a 1099 NEC. Now going into 2026, not starting this year, But 2026, you won't be getting a 1099 NEC unless you made $2,000 or more. Go figure. So, as y'all can see, those changes are going in effect. And those changes are going in effect starting with this year for the 1099Ks, and next year is for the 1099 NEC. So, this year, you Uber drivers, you Lyft drivers, you people selling things on Amazon, Etsy, your PayPal, and all those Venmo, all those type of things, you are going to be feeling it this year, because guess what? You may not have to claim all of that, but I know legally you're supposed to still keep track of your books, keep track of your records, keep track of all your stuff, so you can do your stuff at the end of the year. But again, it's not going into the IRS. And so next year, that's where the change is going to come in with the small. So it's going to be helpful for business owners, for small business owners, and even for big business owners, because why? You are not going to have to pay someone or to do all of these different 1099s for you, because if they didn't make a certain amount of money, you don't even have to process it. So it's up to them to keep track of what is going on in the books or how much they're getting paid. It's up to them, because you don't even have to do anything about it anymore. So you're saving your time and your money. So again, if you are one of those people with the 1099s and you might be spending money on that, or you're like, oh, I'm getting sick of processing these, or you might be a person who be like, look, I'm gonna be real transparent. You got some people who be like, I ain't even trying to claim all that income, but guess what? Who knew? Who knows? Who knows? It's not getting recorded now. So, like I said, it's like little walls that you can put in. Not telling people to do anything wrong, but I'm just saying, there's little things that's out there. And in some cases, like I said before, yes, I know some people may have their issues or whatever. However, again, I say taxes became for business owners and not employees, because you can't write anything off with a 9 to 5. Nothing. That's been taken away since 2017. You can't write nothing off with a 9 to 5. You only can do that with a business. And in order, if you're not making, let's just say, if you're a single person with no kids, you pretty much got to be making $18,000 or less for you to even get your earned income credit. Some of y'all don't get that because most people are not just making $18,000 or less. So if you're making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 or plus in your business, at your job, then the logical thing would be is to go ahead and get yourself a side hustle so you can be able to write off some of that, so you don't have to pay off, have all them taxes at the end. Because I know some of y'all done went exempt, because some of y'all do it every year. I see some of y'all going exempt on your taxes, talking about, oh, I'm getting this bonus check, I ain't gonna be writing this, oh, I ain't putting this on there, I want all my money. Not realizing, yeah, you getting all your money now, but you're still paying it at the end. Makes no sense. And then you end up paying more than them just taking it off at that time, because why? You didn't put yourself on a monthly plan with the IRS. So you said, I don't want to pay the IRS with my one bonus check that I got right now, because I want all this money right now. But you rather pay them every single month and pay them double what you was supposed to pay them in the beginning. That one, I'm still trying to figure that one out for some people, but some of y'all do it. I don't know why. I guess. And then be like, I'm gonna pay it as soon as I get. It'd be 2-3 years later, you still paying the money playing to the IRS. But anyway, that just makes me laugh when I see that, because so many people do that, and I'm just like, why are you putting yourself in debt with the IRS when you can do what? Have a side hustle. I keep telling y'all, side business. I have a business. Taxes is for the business owners. Taxes for them entrepreneurs. Taxes is for them people who got that business mindset. Taxes is not for that 9 to 5 anymore. So when you sitting there, you can be busting your butt going to work. Yeah, you can have that good job making you shucks. You can even be making 6 figures, but guess what? You better be paying all that money in your taxes that you're supposed to be paying as well, because that income is recorded quarterly. It's recorded. And so therefore, if you do not have a side hustle and you are working your job, you paying. Because while your income is going to go up, if you're at a job where you get raises or bonuses or whatever, your income is going to go up, and those taxes is going to have to get paid. And if you don't pay enough, and that's why I'm always telling people, be careful of how you're doing your W-4s. There's so many people who mess up on those W-4s. Those W-4s is so important. If you are single, married, filing joint, them W-4s, when you putting that information on there, and people always mess up on that step 2. That step 2, where it talks about if you, like when people are married or they have multiple jobs, or if they have a side business or something else, they always forget to check that step 2 for some reason. Check that step 2 if you know if you have more than one job, or if you are married, filing joint. You're supposed to be paying those taxes according to your filing status. And if you're not putting that form, filling it out correctly according to your filing status and according to your income, then you end up owing. I'm trying to keep y'all from not owing some money this year. I'm trying to get y'all ahead of time, because we are 4 months before the end of the year. So that's why I'm coming on here now to kind of give y'all some tips on that. Like I said, making sure that step 2 is checked off if you have it. Also, when you go to step 4, a lot of people may not have that step 3 part, because step 3 is more when it comes to dependents. So you don't really have to worry about that. But when you get to step 4, when it talks about additional federal taxes, if you know that your income is more than what you thought it would be, and you're not getting enough taxes being taken out, then on that step 4, you need to input that amount on that line to add that extra withholding on your checks to keep you from owing at the end of the year. This what I'm telling y'all now is mainly for people who have a 9 to 5, a corporate job, a regular employment job, not working for yourself. I'm talking about people who work for people who have a job. This is important, making sure that's done. And how to always check is to always go on, when you put out that W-4, I think it's like page 4 of the instructions on that W-4. It will have a breakdown of your filing. On all of the pages, it gives you filing statuses. If you're single, if you're head of household, if you're married, filing joint, if you're married, filing separate, it tells you those. That's what you're going to go under. Then you're going to look on the chart, and it's going to ask you, it's going to show where's your income. You want to go across that board on that line to say where you at. Like, let's just say you're single. You're going to look for the single. Then once you look for single, then you're going to look for what your income is. Let's just say you're at $60,000. You're going to look for 60 going across, look for 60 going down. That number that's in that box right there is the amount of money that you should be having paid at the end of the year off of that income. So if you're looking at your pay stub, and let's just say we're at 4 months in, and you know how many more times you're going to get paid, whether you get paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever, you can kind of add up how much more you would be by the end of the year. And you look at your withholdings and see if that number somewhat is going to match up to what it shows on the chart. If it does, then you're good. But if it doesn't, then you might want to go ahead and add that extra withholding on there, just to make sure you're not owing a bunch of money at the end of the year. And I'm telling y'all this now because, like I said, we're 4 months in. But I also want to give a kudos and a shout to these business owners, because guess what? Again, we are all about entrepreneurs. And like I said, we all have to start somewhere. So I never would be like basically going off on people who have a job or anything, because we all had to have a job at some point. We have to start somewhere. You get your knowledge, you get your experiences, you get everything from having a job. So it's no diss on anyone with a job at all. It's just that since 2017, it's just always good to have a plan B and a side hustle, because those side hustles and those entrepreneurs That is how, even if you have a job, can help you save on your taxes, because now with a business, you're now able to write off certain stuff that you wouldn't have been able to write off with your job. So let's just say, let's give an example. You have a travel business. You start a travel business. You're a person who travels. You go ahead on your trip. You went ahead and booked. You paid for your flight. Write off. Guess what? You said you had to bring some bags with you, so you had to pay the extra money for your bags. Write off. Now you like, you know what? I want to move my seat. I don't want to sit here. I want to get a seat upgrade. Write off. You know what? We're going to go out to eat. Write off. We staying at this hotel. This is nice. They got this, that. Now I'm be taking pictures. I'm put on my pic. Write off. We had to get a car rental so we can get from 808. Write off. And you see that? So now that same person who was making that 100,000, they had a couple of those trips with their travel business. They put all that information in for the write-offs. At first, before they had the travel business, they was like, oh, I owe $15,000 at the end of the year. Guess what? The travel business came in. Guess what? I may owe $2,000, or I may not even owe anything. I may even get a refund depending on what my write-offs are. You see what I did there? That's why I said it's so important when it comes to having that entrepreneur mindset and doing things with a business, because it helps you with your taxes. Now, for y'all business owners, again, I'm going to go back and recap on what I was talking about to the beginning. And the reason why I started this call was because I wanted people to understand that what's about to happen with that big, beautiful bill. If you are somebody who does Uber, if you're somebody who does Lyft, if you're somebody who sells on Amazon, if you're somebody who sells on Etsy, if you have like a Venmo, what else? Airbnb, you do PayPal, all of those type of things. At the end of the year, you normally get a 1099K. Now, the 1099K is sent out from those big companies to say, okay, this is the amount of income that you earned, with whatever it is business that you were doing through your Venmo, through these Airbnbs, through all of these different things. So the company that has to send it by January 31st, they normally have to have that filed with the IRS and make sure that it gets sent out to you. Now, this year in 2025, with the big, beautiful bill that Trump pulled out, you won't get that form unless you've made $20,000 or I should say, have 200 transactions or more, depending on what it is that you're doing. So, like I said, if you were doing that Uber, Lyft, whatever, it won't be the transactions; it will just be the figure. But if, let's just say, you were doing like Etsy or something like that, or if you're selling on Amazon, you sell a lot of transactions, then you would get it if it's 200 transactions or more. But now you're not going to get it. Before it was always that $600 threshold. Not no more. So now you're only going to receive it for $20,000. Y'all heard me right? Y'all hear me? $20,000 is when you'll get that 1099K now. It's not going to be that $600 threshold anymore. Now, for the people who are contractors, like you get a 1099 NEC. So like, say for instance, if you were working for me and I paid you and I have to give you a 1099, that used to be the $600 threshold as well. This year is still going to be $600 threshold, but next year you're actually not going to get a 1099 anymore unless you made $2,000 or more. So for the business owners, this is really helpful for you, because now, let's just say you were paying someone to do your books, or if you had to pay per form, now you're lowering the amount that you might have to pay, because you may not have to give so many people a 1099 because they didn't all make over that $2,000 threshold. So that's a plus for you. And it's also a plus for the contractor, because now this is something that is now not something that is not going to be reported to the IRS anymore. So if you made if you didn't make, over the $2,000, then you're not even going to get a 1099 now. because of the fact that that threshold is now $2,000. So before it was the $600 threshold, now it's going to be that $2,000 threshold. So now I'm not going to say you can't, but the IRS don't know what you made now. But I'm saying you're supposed to still keep track of that. Keep track of all your income and expenses and things like that. But starting next year, if you made $2,000, if you made $2,000 or more, you're going to get a 1099. But if you made $600, under that $2,000, you're not going to get a 1099 as the next year. But again, this is only this year is going to stop at that $600 threshold. Next year is $2,000 threshold. Now that 1099Ks, and mostly a lot of y'all are doing those Ubers, Lyfts, and Airbnbs, and Amazon and PayPal and all those different type of things. Y'all are actually going to be feeling it this year. Why? Because now you're not even going to have to worry about receiving that 1099K. So when some of y'all are probably stressed out, oh my God, I get it. You're not even going to have to worry about it this year. So when you're doing your taxes this year, if you didn't have $20,000 or more or 200 plus transactions, you're not even going to receive it. So I'll follow back on this again because I know some people probably didn't get a chance to get on. I probably try to come on a little earlier just so I can get more talking about this again, because this is that 1099K is effective this year. But again, y'all, stay on top of your income, stay on top of your expenses, especially those people who do have your small businesses. Talk to your tax professional or talk to your accountant or whoever does your books, because you don't want to lose out on different benefits that you can use to claim. Because if you have children who are 17 or older, you're not getting that child tax credit. If you're single and you making over $19,000, you're not getting that earned income credit. So these credits that you normally would get, you're not getting them anymore because you're either not in the income or you don't have the kids. So you want to have something else in place to help you still get what you want at the end of the year, or even save, and just to save you money on taxes. So again, realize, no. Make sure them W-4s is filled out properly. Make sure you keep in check of your income and expenses. Know what you can and can't write off. Know that if you do have a business, and this is so important, if you have a business, even if it's just a side hustle or something that you're doing part-time, make sure you're treating it like a business and not a hobby. There are so many people who will be like, I'm doing a certain type of business, and they want to have certain write-offs and want to have certain things in effect with it. But if the IRS was to say, okay, you filed this tax return with this business, and I now need proof of all your information, and you have nothing to show them, then they can deem that business as a hobby. And then now you won't be able to get those write-offs. So you want to make sure that you are staying legit when it comes to your paperwork. Make sure that you're keeping up with your paperwork. Make sure you're keeping up with your books. Even if you don't have nobody else to do it for you, you can't afford it, check back. I'm going to do another live next week to show you how you can do it without even having a bookkeeper. If you're just a small business owner, just yourself, just doing things, I'm going to actually go step by step on showing y'all how you can keep tabs of that and be able to have a P&L at the end of the year so you can be able to show that information. I'm going to come on and show you step by step using Excel. So make sure you get on here next week so I can show y'all step by step. And you might want to save it. I'll put it out there. I'll flag it to tell you what day and time. I'm not sure what day and time I'm going to do it. So I'll put that out ahead of time for y'all. But I want to show that because I know not everybody has the funds to be able to pay an accountant or pay a bookkeeper to do different things. But I wanted to show y'all how you can do things and not have to have that money coming. But I want you to make sure that you're able to have a P&L, because you need to have that. You need to have your income and expenses listed. That's just part of being an entrepreneur, part of being a business owner, part of being responsible about your income and expenses, because you should know where you got your money coming in and where you got it going out. So I'm gonna show y'all how to do that. But again, to zip it up at the final is to sum it all up. Just to let y'all know, those 1099Ks you may not receive this year because, again, they have raised that threshold, the big, beautiful bill. So it's now $20,000. So a lot of you may not receive one this year, so don't be alarmed. If you're doing Uber, Lyft, you're getting stuff from Venmo, you're doing PayPal, Airbnb, all those different types of things, you may not receive one this year. So don't be alarmed. Just know you may not get it. Now, for contractors, you will still be getting that $600 threshold this year, but next year you may not. You will not may. You will not get it next year unless you make over $2,000. So next year, $2,000, but this year is still the $600 threshold. Next year is the $2,000 threshold. So again, more convenience for business owners. That's all. Like I've been telling y'all, 2017. Taxes been for the entrepreneur, and I hate to say it, but it's not for the employee. So you really got to step up your game and get on board when it comes to certain things, because it's all about the entrepreneurs, small business owners. Mindset is everything, y'all. Talk to y'all soon.